Caitlin almost broke my phone.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been a minute. As some of you may know, I mean it's summer vacation, so Mai was on vacation in Portugal, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
summer intensive for ballet.
having fun in Portugal while I was here. Um, but yeah, so we haven't been able to record uh any episodes recently. So that is why we've had a bit of a break in terms of our full-length episodes. You may have seen that we had some shorts coming out here and there,
Yeah,
but
thanks to Caitlin.
I kept the content going while she was out having fun in
Sorry,
Portugal.
I feel so bad.
No, it's okay. You were having fun and you were learning too, so that's nice. But yeah, so now we're back to episodes. Little context, it's our senior year. We're seniors now.
Yay!
So I don't know, with the busyness of everything, hopefully we'll still be able to get episodes out when we usually do. But there may be times where we may not be able to get them out on time. Yeah. So today we decided we're coming back with we picked a story from the Bible. Today we are talking about Noah and the Ark. So, if you don't know the story of Noah and the Ark, we're about to explain it to you. It's really long. It's Genesis 6 through 8, basically. It's like, if you want to go like into the whole thing, it's like Genesis 6 through like 9, and then once you get to 10, you get to the whole like genealogy and ancestors and all of that. So it's Genesis 6 through 9, which, as you can imagine, is 3 whole chapters of, or yeah, that's 3, correct? 4-ish. 4.
Oh,
There's a bee.
I don't see it.
Okay, I heard it. I definitely heard it. Okay, so that's 3, 4 whole chapters. So I'm not gonna read all of that because we'd be sitting here for the full length of the podcast if I read that. But to summarize it, basically, we start with so in this time period where we're at, there was a lot of wickedness and a lot of people were just not doing good things, and their hearts were very evil, and God saw this and decided, it says, so the Lord said, I will wipe mankind whom I have created from the face of the earth, men and animals and creatures that move along the ground and birds of the air, for I am grieved that I have made them. And then it goes on to say, but Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. So the Bible describes Noah as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. And because there was so much wickedness, so much corruptness in this time period, in the people who were living at this point in time, Noah was the ideal person for God to go to carry out his plan. And so God tells Noah to build an ark, or a giant boat. If you don't know what an ark is, it's giant boat. Does it actually say ark here? Yeah, it does. Okay, yeah. So it's basically a giant boat. I mean, I don't really know a better way to describe it. It's a giant boat. But so it even gives the dimensions of the ark in here, which is pretty cool. If you like architecture or the way boats are built, here's something interesting for you. The ark, God said to Noah, the ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. So, not really sure how to put that in context, but that's big.
I think there's a museum in Kentucky, and you can like see
Really?
like the model.
Why did I think it was in Tennessee?
Somewhere down there.
Somewhere down south. Yeah. So that's pretty cool that they have like the actual like dimensions for that. So that's interesting. But and then it goes on to say, he's God is going to bring flood waters. He's going to destroy all life there, and so God instructs Noah to bring two of every kind of bird, every kind of animal, um, that flies or lives on the land, to bring two of every kind into the ark, and then also for Noah to bring his entire family into the ark. So Noah does everything that God commands him to, and then when the time comes, the Lord tells Noah to go into the ark with him, his family, and all of the animals, and male and female to be specific, two of each kind, male and female, so that they can once the 40 days are over, or once the flood is over, they can start a new life or yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so Noah does all of this, and the Bible also says he's 600 years old, which is crazy. Nobody lives past like 100 nowadays. But um, that's off topic. I'm sorry. I'm telling this story in like
No, it's facts. It's facts.
but yeah. So I'm trying to get as much content from these 3-4 chapters as I possibly can into the summary. Um, but yeah, so this flood basically lasts 40 days and 40 nights. And so after the flood, after the 40 days and 40 nights ended, God told it says, but God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock that were with him in the ark, and he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. So then Noah opens the window, and he sends out a raven, to see. Basically, the idea was that if this bird doesn't come back, or doesn't come back with some sign of land, but if it doesn't come back to the ark, then that means that hmm? Oh, tangent again. But if that well, that's not a raven, but that's a dove. We'll get to that later. But the raven basically, when he sends out a raven, and if the raven doesn't come back, that means the raven has found land. The raven has found a place to live. Um, but the raven keeps on coming back. So then he waits a little longer, and he sends out a dove, and the dove comes back. So he waits 7 days. Yeah, he waits 7 days and sends out the dove again. The dove returns with an olive leaf, and so that told Noah that the water had receded from the earth. There was land. There was vegetation. And so he waits 7 more days and sends the dove out again, but the dove doesn't return to him. And basically, that's saying the dove has found a place to live. The dove has found land, has found a secure place. Thanks, Goose. A secure place for him to live. So that's basically the summary of the main part of that, and then it goes into Noah's covenant, or God's covenant with Noah. Why do I keep mixing the words up? And the symbol of a rainbow, which, as you probably know, so cannot see. So that's basically the summary, with a few tangents here and there. But so we picked out 4, 5-ish points from this story to talk about. So first things first, Noah's obedience to God. So, or just like obedience to God in general, is the idea of following God's plan for our lives and not being afraid to go into uncomfortable situations to share his word. And this has been something that I just thought of recently too, is like the idea that we get so used to being in the same area, whether it be the same season of life, or we're just like in this comfortable place in our lives and we don't want to move out of that. And when God sends you a conviction, you're like ignoring it, or you choose not to do that because you're so comfortable where you're at. You're afraid of change. You're afraid of things changing. And it's interesting how much that relates to, especially like us, because we're seniors. Our lives are going to be changing in 6 months. Was it 6 months, 7 months? Like, that's crazy. But we're going off to college, so like things are not going to be the same. We're leaving our homes, going into a new environment, new people, much bigger space. We're not just in the same little area that we've been in before. this area of comfortability. And that's been such a conviction lately because you realize how comfortable you've been in this area. And, you know, now you're being thrown into this world as an adult and you have to face all the things that this world is going to give you. You can't stop that from happening. And that's something that I've learned, that is like, I can't stop that from happening. I can't stop change life. I can't stop life from happening. I can't stop myself from growing. I'm going to have to eventually go out into the world and find my own way, find what God has for me there. And it's not just going to be living in high school, stuck like that for the rest of my life. No matter how much I may wish that I could stay in this sort of stability, you know, and I feel like everybody to a degree has some sort of fear of change. Um, I feel like for me it's a little less so. Like I'm used to adapting to things, but for me, just the idea of not change rather, but moving out of this state of comfortability and being willing to put yourself into an uncomfortable situation to share the word of God, to be that light. And there was this I don't know who said it or where I heard it from, but the idea that comfort is the enemy of progress. That if you are so, like, if you're in this comfortable situation and you don't want to leave that, how do you expect yourself to grow? How do you expect yourself to um experience new things? How do you expect yourself to be able to do what God has in store for you? If you're comfortable, then and you're not willing to step outside of that to reach out to others, maybe that it's not in the most comfortable situation, like maybe talking to somebody that others don't like talking to, sharing the word in a place where it's frowned upon. Like, the devil likes to keep us comfortable because comfort hinders us from doing what God wants us to do. And I think that's just so big, because how many times we find ourselves not going up and talking to the person who's sitting alone at a lunch table, or just going out of our way to show kindness to others because we're afraid of what others are going to think. It's choosing to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to share the light and the word of God, and not letting yourself just wallow in this state of comfortability, because yes, it may be comfortable, but is it what's best for you?
Me, who's introverted,
And it's really hard for introverts too. I mean, I'm introverted too.
but I'm still trying.
It
Especially podcasts.
Why do I feel like I come across as an extrovert sometimes? I'm not, guys. I'm an introvert. Just so you know.
I sound like it.
I don't sound like an introvert, but I am. If you take what's the personality test that we took freshman year, I am 51% introvert, so I'm like kind of an ambivert. I mean, I get that. I'm an ambivert basically. When I'm with people that I connect with, or talking about something that like I'm really passionate about, like this, or like doing the podcast, or like when I get excited about something, I'll talk a lot. But I mean, like when it comes to social situations, I'm an introvert, guys. Trust me. I know. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to talk to people. No, thank you. But it's okay. We make it work, and we go into those uncomfortable situations knowing that God is with us.
Sometimes I'm like,
no. No, people.
no. Arcade.
It's like when you're, oh gosh, our school does like discussions and stuff. And
what?
I know, every time we do a discussion, I'm like, no, I can't. I just like, when it comes to that, I can't talk. It's like it's I don't know. It's yeah. Okay, moving on to the second point is trusting in God's plan. And this is something we have touched on, I feel like, so much. Like in every episode of this podcast, I'm always bringing up trusting in God's plan, because truly God has a purpose and a plan for everyone. And in this, Noah and the ark, I don't know if you can hear the geese behind us, but they are being very annoying right now. But Noah trusted God's plan and carried it out. And that's truly just the amount of faith that it takes, but also choosing to trust. Everything is a choice. I feel like this is something, one of the episodes that we've been struggling to get out because technical issues, and it's an hour and 30 minutes long. It's going to be two parts. Don't worry, guys. But one of the things that we talked about, which you'll discover either before this or later, whenever it ends up happening, um, is that every decision that you make, everything is a choice. You choose to be kind, you choose to love others, and it's a choice to trust in God's plan. But when you understand the depth of how much trusting in God's plan can change your life and give you peace, again, you're trusting in God's plan allows you to not have to worry about what may be to come in several years ahead of you, and just like focus on the now and focus on what God is trying to have you do right now. Because Noah in this Noah wasn't Noah was probably thinking about the future. He was probably like, I don't know what's going to happen to the rest of the world. I don't know how it's going to be changed after the 40 days and 40 nights are over, after God has flooded the earth. But he chose to trust in God's plan and chose to do what the Lord told him to do in that moment. And as a result of that, God blessed him, and God provided for him and gave him peace and hope during his circumstance.
So, trusting God's plan. Yeah, so I had that recently. So I had an injury, and it's been like 4 years of pain. And I recently went to the doctor, and he gave me a boot for a month. And it was really hard for me to get back into shape and go to Portugal and start dancing for a month, like intensively. And when I got that injury, I was really frustrated, and I'm not supposed to be, but I was frustrated of God. I was like, why me? Why am I the person who gets the injury and not somebody else? But at the end, I trusted him, and I believe that this process is a learning experience and something that will have a good end result soon.
It's not a good end result already. You're out of the boot.
I'm
I
so
mean,
injured.
oh, what in the world is on my glass? Sorry, you're still but you made it through, and God provided for you there.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, he did. He did. And I had a great experience in this intensive and stuff. He's helping me through, really. Bless you.
This podcast is so unhinged. I'm sorry. Yeah, but that's really a great. I think that's a great example for everyone. Okay, so the third thing. Do you want to check your phone? Somebody texted you, and I don't know if it's like your dad.
We have 8 minutes.
Okay. All right. We'll cut that out. Okay. Um, where was I? Okay. The third point that we wanted to talk about was choosing to do the right thing even when the rest of the world is against you. And this is a bit of a smaller focus maybe in this story, but when you at the beginning of this, it's the Bible is telling you that the people during this time were very corrupt, they were wicked, they were evil, and they were doing things that the Lord did not like, which is why he chose to flood the earth. But Noah chose to follow God despite the massive task that was put ahead of him, building this gigantic ark, and knowing that it was just going to be him and his family that were going to start over in this new earth, and to gather two of every kind of animal onto this ark, being tasked with such a big, trying not to repeat myself, being given such a big task, um, he chose to follow God despite how massive it may have seemed that this mountain ahead of him was going to be. And the rest of the world was corrupt by wickedness, and that's what led God to choose to I keep spelling chose and choose wrong. Led God to choose to flood the earth. But because of Noah's faithfulness to carry out God's plan, God protected him and his family. And because he was a righteous man and he walked with God in a time where everybody else was not walking with God and was choosing evil things, he eventually, God protected him, and God gave him this new earth that he and his family were going to start over on. And it may have seemed like such a big task.
Hi everyone, so we got a technical issue. Our mic just turned off for some reason, probably because of the battery. So I wanted to point out that this story is kind of relating to school. So as we are going back to school, perhaps we can see ourselves stop praying during lunch or prevented from doing godly things and be influenced by non-Christians because we might be afraid of being an outcast or being mocked by other people like Noah. We can always come back to the story and be encouraged from it. Following God just like Noah, regardless of how much we are made fun of or how much they are talking back on us. So, thank you for watching and listening to our podcast. See you next time.
Those geese are low-key scaring me.
Loki.
Just please don't fly over here. Okay.